So, the Wild actually win this one this time. They win 5-4 over the Philadelphia Flyers in a game that was definitely a game they needed to grind out. Because I actually took down some notes this time instead of the last video, which is kind of me rambling and barely catching any of the game. This one I actually got to see in full. And thank God. Like I said in the last video, thank God that they actually beat Philadelphia. If they had lost this game tonight, which a couple points in this game, they were looking like that was going to happen. If they had lost to Philadelphia, oh my God, I would have hit the panic button. And I was considering doing that. Because right off the bat, Talbot lets in two pretty easy goals. Wasn't back-to-back, obviously, but the second shot of the game, you start off with Marcus Foligno trying to do a drop pass in the offensive zone. It gets taken away by, I think, Scott Lawton, I believe. I believe it was Scott Lawton, yeah. So Scott Lawton takes a breakaway and just does a pretty easy move around Talbot to go from his backhand over to his forehand and then tuck it in. Somehow Talbot gets phased by it. I'm not sure how. But that's a goal Talbot needs to have back. But it's okay. It's okay because Ryan Hartman, who was on his game tonight, manages to get a goal right back. It's pass from Kaprizov over to Zuccarello and then just a deflection in front by Ryan Hartman. So he gets back on the score sheet after being off of it for a while. A freshly shaven Ryan Carter. Many know him for the beard. He shaved it to try and get something going, and apparently it worked. So he gets one back, and at that point it's 1-1. But I think like a minute and 20 seconds after that, right after that, there's a play in the Wild's defensive zone where Freddie Gaudreau loses his stick on the boards and can't pick it up because ice is slippery and he's got gloves on. So he's fumbling around trying to get his stick. In the process of that, not only does he lose his stick, he loses the guy that he's covering, who ends up getting right in front of Talbot and barely squeezing one underneath his left arm. Which, again, is another goal that Talbot should have. I understand it's point blank, but this goal barely squeezed through. Over two bad ones right off the bat by Talbot. So already then it's 2-1, and in the beginning, in the first period, the Wild, honestly, it looked like how they've been looking throughout the whole losing streak. Missed passes, overpassing, a failure to shoot, defensive breakdowns. Like, it looked bad, but it wasn't completely horrible because, again, we're playing the third worst team in the Eastern Conference. This team is better than Buffalo, who we face tomorrow, and Montreal. So originally I was so damn worried because if we're struggling against the third worst team in the East, third worst team in the East, one of those clear under that plateau, under that line, that playoff line, like well under the line. If we are struggling against them, oh my God. But luckily this game continued to be a grind. And apparently, Billy Guerin said to this team at one point that when you're in these types of slumps, all you got to do is grind it out to make sure you actually get out of these slumps. And I would have thought, okay, we're down 2-1 at the end of the first. But luckily, Gaudreau redeems himself in a crazy way at the end. With 2.7 seconds, he gloves the puck out of the air, keeping it into the zone, walks into the slot, and fires one right past Carter Hart. Just like that, it's 2-2. That goal was huge. Not only did it redeem Gaudreau because he gets one back after essentially giving one to the Flyers, but that's right at the end of the period. It's 2-2 now. It's an even game instead of the Wild having to play catch-up. Even though this entire game, that's pretty much what they did. Because, let me check my notes real quick here. Yep, at 14:53, Travis Konechny, and might I add, that's not into the period, 14:53 left in the second period. Travis Konechny sneaks behind three Wild players. Somehow, three Wild players are caught puck watching on, I want to say Keith Yandel, but they're puck watching on some defenseman. And he just throws it right to Travis Konechny, who's right in front of Talbot with no help whatsoever. That's a goal that I won't directly pin on Talbot. It'd be nice if he could get it, but honestly, how do you get past 3 guys? That is horrible defense. And it's weird because the Wild are known to be a stout defensive team. And obviously we're still missing Matt Dumba, and there was a point where Jared Spurgeon got hit with a puck in the first period. Somebody fired the puck along the boards, hit him right underneath the eye. So he has to go into the locker room and get stitches. And literally it's just like makeshift stitches. Literally his eye's still bugging out like this. He just tanks it out, and he was in there for the rest of the game. So thank God he was still fine. But again, obviously, hopefully he gets like an ice pack or something on there. Maybe, I don't know, something to help him out. But like I was saying, we don't have Dumba and we don't have Greenway either. So that could also hinder in as to what is happening with the Wild right now, or what could be part of the slumps that we've been having. So it's 3-2 Philly after Travis Konechny's goal that puts them up top. But again, the Wild still continue to come back. And lo and behold, Ryan Hartman gets it again. Fiala manages to keep the puck in the zone, take a shot at like the blue line. Puck is squirming around and Hartman just whacks at it, pokes it right through Carter Hart. That's his second of the night. So shaving that beard clearly helped him. And might want to do that more often. Maybe somebody else on the team can take leverage to that. And I'm not sure who else, but it's working for Hartman. So at that point, it's 3-3 with 10:56 left in the second period. Then, as I'm flipping my notes over here, also apparently that's the best goal total of Ryan Hartman's career. So he's having a career high in goals this year, which is good. Because if he's getting back to the way he was dominating at the beginning of the season, then things will fall back into place. And eventually the Wild continued to chip away. It was a fairly even game in the second period, but the Wild were definitely getting more of the chances as the period wore on. They were controlling play, and Philly just had trouble getting it out of their zone sometimes. The Wild would have like 2 minutes straight of zone time. They'd get it out of the zone once, and then they'd come back in again. But at the end of the period, with a minute 40 left, Wild have a terrible, terrible line change, and it ends up with a too many men penalty. And lo and behold, Philadelphia cashes in with a power play goal. Luckily, that was the only power play goal that was given up that night. But the Wild also didn't score in the power play either. So it's not looking too good for special teams, but at least the penalty kill was better. In this, JVR gets a deflection from a shot from Claude Giroux. JVR was screened right in front of Talbot and basically had a stick right in between his legs, deflects in off of his stick, and it's 4-3 Philadelphia heading into the third. So already, my mind again goes to the thought that, oh Lord, please do not let us lose this game. That would be bad. After trying to claw our way back and just continuing to try and get back in this game. We hadn't had a lead yet, and we still hadn't had a lead at all. Might I remind you, the third worst team in the Eastern Conference, and we hadn't gotten a lead in 40 minutes of play. So it was looking bad. And at the end of the second, shots were 24-16 in favor of Minnesota. And the score was 4-3 Philly. So partially I wrote that kind of to put the blame on Talbot, but then I looked back at the goals and realized that about 2 of them were his fault. In reality, if Gaudreau doesn't lose his stick and Foligno doesn't make a bad drop pass, maybe it's a different story. But still, Talbot's got to have at least 2 of those goals back. And luckily, 4 was good enough to win. And that seems to be the theme with Talbot. It seems to be he'll only do good if the Wild score a ton of goals, which isn't really a good sign for a goaltender. It makes me want to put in Kaapo Kähkönen, but then again, Kähkönen hasn't been doing good as of recently. Maybe that's the slump, or maybe that's something different. I'm not sure. It's just, thank God we got a win tonight. Thank God we got out of the losing. it's a start. It's a start that hopefully we can build upon. But like I was saying, going into the third period now, at 18:03, Philadelphia gets a penalty. Travis Konechny, a delay a game. Minnesota had been 0-14 on the power play in their past 6 games. They would be 0-15 by that point. Possibly 0-16. Nope, 0-15. I think it stayed that way. We haven't gotten a power play goal in now 7 games. So clearly our special teams need work. But that's something we'll figure out for Buffalo because they're supposedly a worse team than Philly. But again, we struggled against Philly. So, oh boy. I'm going to say it again. We better beat Buffalo. If we don't beat Buffalo, maybe there is reason to panic. But like I said, thank God we got to win tonight. Got to win tonight. I'm getting off track. Anyway. Going down the list here. Fourth line hadn't been out for a little bit of time in the third period. Evison kept continuing to double up lines. Kaprizov had a lot of ice time. And another thing on Kaprizov, the issue with him in this game that I kept seeing was he would try and force stuff that wasn't even there. It'd be like almost working too hard, trying to be a one-man crew. And every time he'd try and dangle through somebody, he'd try and do one of those crazy passes that he always seemed to do at the beginning of the year. It wasn't working tonight. All those passes would either be off or they'd just be sitting in weird spots or something like that. Fiala did a little bit of that too, but then he kind of reeled it back in because as we get to it, with 7:44 left to go in the game, that Gaudreau-Fiala-Boldy line finally gets another thing going. I won't count Gaudreau's goal with that because I'm going to say that's a one-off thing because Gaudreau kind of did that himself. But Boldy makes a nice play after Fiala feeds it to him, getting it off the boards. Dangles right in front and manages to go 5-hole on Carter Hart. So thank God for that. And at that point, it's 4-4. So finally, the Wild are tied again. We've come back multiple times. We came back from down 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, and now 4-0. But finally, something breaks through. And Jonas Brodin, after Dmitry Kulikov kicks it off to him on the boards, manages to keep it in. Oh my God, Jonas Brodin, thank God. Thank God Jonas Brodin managed to get this shot from the point and just fire it home. Goes bar down on Carter Hart as if Hart didn't see it. So, finally, we have a lead at 7:19 in the third period. We get 2 goals in 25 seconds. It's kind of a pun since Brodin is 25, so you see what I mean? But 2 goals in 25 seconds finally gives us the lead, 5-4. The first lead we've had the entire night. And luckily, Minnesota's able to finish it out. And a great play by the end, specifically by Ryan Hartman, as time is winding down. There's a great chance for Philadelphia on the back door. But in sliding in with both feet, just like a baseball player just kind of zooming his way over, Ryan Hartman manages to save the game, and the Wild finally get back in the win column. It took too long, frankly, but we did beat Philly like we should have. So thank God for that. Now we've beaten Philly. Now we play a back-to-back where we go to Buffalo tomorrow. And if we don't beat Buffalo, I won't say there's too much reason for concern, but it will be bad. We should beat Buffalo. We should have beat this team by a lot because I could tell for Philly, they had trouble getting it out of their zone. And I will give the power play this credit. They were trying their asses off to get a couple goals in, but it just wasn't enough. They just kept trying. Nothing seemed to go in on the power play. So we have to resort to even strength goals, which thankfully we're good at. Showing the highlights on the TV right now. I still got the game on. Yep, they're still rolling that. Oh my God, I'm seeing it. Yep, Jonas Brodin from the point, bar down. That was 25 seconds after we had tied the game for the 4th time. For the fourth time, we had to tie this game 4 times. They're saying shots are 38-30 in favor of us. Face-offs were 40-23 in favor of Philadelphia. We were 0 for 1 on the power play. Philly was 1 for 3. So, special teams were a little bit better. Again, we lose the face-off battle, but surprisingly, Philly's actually one of the better face-off teams in the league. And I think that's pretty much Claude Giroux working on his own, but it's the way it goes. And thank God, I'm still going to keep saying it, because if he doesn't score there, we're at 4-4 and the game becomes so much more tense and there's so much pressure. But to get one like that and have the lead and actually be able to have confidence, that's huge. That is incredibly huge. So, with that, let's just hope that we beat Buffalo. I'll try and make sure to get that game, get a reaction for that game as soon as I can. I'll be flying back to Colorado, where I live, tomorrow at 6, and I'm not sure when the game is. I gotta see. The game is tomorrow at 5. What do you know? Okay, well, I'll see if I can find a way to either catch the highlights or catch what other people are saying about this. But as for now, that is it for this. Thank you for watching. Please like, please subscribe, please do everything to help me out and help me grow this. All right, I'll see you.